So a year later, Alex comes forwards and goes, yeah, do you know what? I just did Coast to Coast America. And I'm like, oh no. And I just felt muppet. I just felt silly. That's like... Okay, so I finished a career with the emergency services back in 2017 and didn't really know what to do with myself. And I met my now wife, and she said, well, you love filming, you love media, you should go and do a degree in this. And I'd done some, Cannonball Run Europe events and other events previously, and I'd helped out the film crew. And I was also a blue light driver, so if they wanted me to get a car somewhere to get a certain shot, I could get it. And I'd never really thought about it. And she went, no, go and do this. So I did. So I went to the University of Lincoln, met a guy called John Rowlands, and had a conversation. And he said, yeah, you should do this. You can come onto the course. It was a series of things that had led up to this. So my passion for driving, I do enjoy movies. I was very lucky and got to meet Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader a good few years back. The Cannonball Run Europe stuff that I'd done, it was nice. So I met John Rowlands and he said, yeah, don't worry, you haven't got any qualifications in film, but we can do this. So I did. I started this media degree, and it was in film, radio and television production. And it was very unique to me, really enjoyed it, but my passion for cars was still there, passion for motoring. I was then on the path that I thought, okay, well, I'd like to make, not so much documentary, but just work with something in the motoring industry. So if you got a tuner or someone like that, wanted a showcase, I could do that. So as we then progressed through into the second year, I had to learn to film cars for myself. And I ended up by filming at a place called Rufford Ford, which it's a whole different thing, but that's where there's a lot of car fails, and I ended up with a YouTube channel out of it. But I then progressed and I had to think about a dissertation. And one of the things is, again, a discussion with a tutor, and the whole thing came back to the Cannonball Run. And I said to them, I want to do Cannonball Run. They said, okay, well, how did it happen? I said, well, there's a journalist, Brock Yates, and he had this idea and he decided to do the Cannonball Run. They said, okay, well, why did he do it? And that's then where it started to get interesting. So it had then gone from just the passion of driving, and it had then gone into, well, why do we do this? Why do we do these ridiculous long distance drives? I had to start from the beginning, so I got Brock's book and I started to read it, and it was a complete revelation on the inside of Brock's thoughts, and I never realised how deep his reasoning was for doing the Cannonball Run. And it wasn't just something that was on the surface. It was something that was deep rooted, and it was a protest for him. He was fed up with the way that the road laws had changed. He was fed up with the speed limits, fed up with the restrictions coming in. He'd got a Ferrari, and one day he could drive his Ferrari at 170 miles an hour on the highway, and the next minute he's told, no, you're doing 55 miles an hour. And he's like, well, hang on a minute, this isn't right. From reading his book and several other publications, it was then also inspired by Vanishing Point. And then reading through that was like, yeah, there's something more deep here. So I did a dive into that. I then needed to get some more information on the spirit of the Cannonball. Why do we do these things? So I then ended up by reading your book, which again was absolutely amazing. And just reading the fact that you phoned Brock at home, you got past his office and everything else, and just phoned him at home, like, yeah, I'm going to beat your record. It's like, this is amazing. This is like, who does that? So again, that book, it really progressed. And I then wanted to find out more, and I already knew why Cannonball Run Europe existed. I wanted to find out, why did the Gumball Rally come to fruition? And how did we go from Brock's original 1971 idea right the way through? So I then started to look into the origins of the Gumball Rally, which of course were inspired by Brock's original runs, an original statement, if you like, because he did these as a statement. And it inspired generations of people. It inspired so many people to not only do runs, it inspired movies. Reading on the meeting that Brock Yates had with Hal Needham, that was an absolute eye-opener. I had no idea the level of Brock's reporting and how he then got to meet Hal Needham. So he spoke to Hal first off when he was upside down in a car. They then went for some drinks later, spoke about the Gumball Rally movie. Hal and Brock said, well, we're going to make another movie. So they then did another run and made the movie. So I got into all of this, the Lamborghini, which was also the changing point where Brock said, I've got to stop doing this. Because it was originally some professional drivers. People had a pride in their driving, almost gentlemanly. The guy came up to Brock and said, look, I've got this Lamborghini. I'm going to beat all the records, and this is how it's going to be done. And Brock said, well, no, this isn't right. This is not safe. And Brock said, I've got to stop doing this. I can't allow this to continue. So, of course, he didn't do any more runs. All of this was in my dissertation, and I was sitting on Facebook one day just scrolling through, and a picture of the Lamborghini came up. And then a discussion ensued between a chap who turned out to be Gero Hozcek. And that's a name that I'd recognised from Brock's book. And what I didn't realise is that this is Gero's son, which was, again, a very amazing to talk to this chap. We got into a discussion, and we were then speaking about the Lamborghini and how this was the actual car, and then Brock got hold of it with Hal Needham's doing the movie. And I said, look, I'm doing a study on Spirit of the Cannonball. And I then mentioned about the 2004 Cannonball Run Europe, which involved the world's largest ever road arrest. But because it was a criminal offence, Guinness Book of Records couldn't note it. But it was recognised, and still is recognised, as the world's largest ever road arrest. So we got chatting away. He said, do you know what? He said, there's going to be an unveiling of a plaque at the Goodwife Shopping Centre. And it's a plaque dedicated to Brock Yates. He said, I'd really love you to come along to it. And so he put me in touch with the event organisers. And they said, yeah, that'd be great. We'd like to come along, say a few words to people and just have a discussion. I sold a car in order to get the funding ready for the plane ticket and everything else. At that point, the most wildest, strangest 3 days of my life. Got on a plane on a Friday, flew over, hired a car, and I'd never done that before. I didn't realise America is as big as it is. And this is something that and I've done lots of European road trips and so forth. I thought, yeah, that's just up the road from there, Darien. It looks like 20 miles. And I started looking at getting a taxi originally, and it's like, this is going to cost you nearly $200. I'm like, oh, taxis are ridiculously expensive. So I hired this car. No, it's almost 100 miles. Off I went, and then I had to experience the New York traffic getting out of there. So this run took me a lot longer than I thought. So I finally got there, met everyone, and turned up to the reunion for the Cannonball Run. When I did Cannonball Run Europe, I'd had a bit of a discussion with Alex Roy. I had got through France quicker than Alex did on the Gumball. Alex may contest this, but I still contest I got through quicker. So we had a bit of a heated discussion and argument on a forum online. And it resulted me in saying to Alex, you're not as fast as you think you are. And he replied, lol. And I thought, yeah, that told him. And yeah, it really didn't. So a year later, Alex comes forwards and goes, yeah, do you know what? I just did Coast to Coast America. And I'm like, oh no. And I just felt muppet. I just felt silly. That's like, that's not good. And I didn't think anything more of it. So I'm now at this event. And they say, oh, have you met Alex Roy? Alex Roy's coming. And I'm like, oh no. Because all I could think of was this guy's going to punch me. Because we had this really bad discussion. So Alex has walked in through the door, and I had to immediately say, look, Alex, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You are as fast as you say you are. And I got to buy Alex a beer, and he was very nice. And that's how I ended up by doing that and buying Alex a beer to say sorry.
If you get a ticket, the first thing you should do is text a picture of it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. You'll be facing costly fines, risks of suspension, possible jail time, points on your license, higher insurance premiums, and a lot of bad things that they can help you to avoid. You can also find them at the link in the description below, but the Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm with brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they've got attorneys everywhere, and that's what's most important, because a local attorney will know exactly how the local laws work, know the people who are in charge, and get you the best outcome possible. So text a picture of your ticket to 305-305 or click the link in the description below to fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.